Howdy Functional Fitness Workouts followers, I'm looking forward to giving you guys a totally awesome abs, obliques and glutes workout today. We'll be working deep into the inner lying core musculature and we'll be using planks as the predominant format for the exercise. Enjoy the workout. So we start in a position that everyone can do pretty easily on your forearms, keeping the glutes super tight as with the abdominals. Squeeze into the pelvic floor musculature as well. We'll stabilize on the right leg and the left hand. So we're just going to lift the knee and the hand, hold it there, and rest. And then let's do the same on the other side, lifting the left hand and the right knee, hold it, steady it, and rest. Right, so we're incorporating a few more of the core muscles to stabilize the pelvis as we do this exercise. We're also working into shoulder stabilizers as well, because obviously we need to stabilize the arm that we're supported on. Right, so the next movement is a continuation of that. We're going to elevate the left knee and the right hand, but we're going to lock into the elbow. And we'll breathe in as we extend the leg back and the arm forward. Follow your hand and then exhale down. Breathe in as you stretch back. So when I press my heel back, that's called dorsiflexion. We'll do that quite a bit today. Exhale in, breathing out, exhale in, breathing out, exhale in. Let's do one more, that should be 5. Exhale in. Awesome, and rest. Let's do exactly the same on the other side. So we're going to lift that left arm off the ground, right knee off the ground, stabilize. Remember to keep the glutes tight. Breathe in as you stretch the arm and the leg forward and back respectively. Exhale in. Breathing back. 2, 3. Try to breathe in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And rest. Let's stay in this position. We're going to do a straight arm plank now. Now your gaze should be directed right down in front of you onto the mat, but glance downwards towards your toes just to make sure that your knees are straight and that your hips are not sagged. And let's hold this for a count of about 10 seconds. 20 seconds would be even better. Excellent. And rest. Right, so I'm going to show you a progression on that. So just remember, when we began, we started on the forearms. And then we went into the quadruped position. And then from there, we went into our straight arm plank. Like this, keeping the shoulders vertically above the hands, ideally. The legs are straight. The glutes and abs tight, for obvious reasons, as we don't want to drop the hips. Right, now from this position, if you want to, you can elevate one leg, and let's do that. So let's lift the right leg up and hold it. So we'll be loading the left quite extensively. And then let's lower that down and elevate the left leg, trying to keep it as straight as possible as with the right, loading on the right side. And lower. Awesome. So now we've done something in the prone position. Let's move to the frontal plane, which is the side. So we'll have a rest. Relax the spine into neutral curvature. And let's go into a side plank. So we'll rest on the right forearm. We'll turn and lie down on the right hip. Align your body straight. And let's get this left hand into the floor just to assist to begin with. The lowest level for this side plank will be to kick your right lower leg back. That's if you're lying on your right side. And we just simply lift upwards. If you need to, Use your fist or your hand to support your weight to keep your hip elevated up off the ground. I like to lift the arm up. When my arm is extended upwards, I look upwards, and it just psychologically helps me to keep my hips up. Right, we can progress that by extending the right leg and keeping it nice and straight, still keeping the hips off the ground in a side plank. Remember, the shoulders are stabilizing the arm, so this is really important to also think about not sagging downwards, but keep your shoulders nice and strong, keep your hips stacked, and then if you want to, you can stack those feet as well, just to make it a little bit more challenging. Alright, so that's the side plank on the right. Let's shift down, let's relax. So I like to relax in this position, allows the spine to relax completely. So before we go to the other side, namely the left side, let's assume a prone position, and we're going to work into the back. So the first exercises were predominantly working the front, what we call the anterior kinetic chain of muscles. The second exercise group that we did was lying on the right hand side, and now we're going to work the muscles of the back. So let's just start off with a basic swimmer movement, very much like in the quadruped position. Here we're going to breathe in and then exhale, lifting the left arm and the right leg. Breathe in, exhale, and lift the right arm and the left leg. Now, to make your glutes work a little bit harder, instead of pointing the foot, let's dorsiflex the feet. To make those arms work a little bit more, let's keep the elbows off the mat. Breathe in, exhale up, breathing down. You can keep an isometric hold at the top of the movement just to give those muscles a slightly longer and greater contraction intensity. Awesome. And so we're going to roll onto the left-hand side now. And let's begin exactly as we did. We're going to place our right hand on the floor. We'll align the body nice and straight, kick the left lower leg back, and lift your left hip up off the mat. Ideally, we're going to raise that right arm up, look up at your hand, and then as a next level of progression, we'll extend the left leg back so the left foot is just behind the right foot. And then if you like, we can stack the feet and we'll hold that side plank. Now in this position, let's alternate between lifting the legs, keeping the heel up, foot in dorsiflex position. And we can continue until we've probably done about 10 of those. Let's add on to that. So we're going to step our feet out to the side. Now let's combine the movements. So it's up, down, tap out, tap back to center. Elevate, tap down, out to the side, to the center. Elevate, tap down, out to the side, to the center. Elevate, tap down, out to the side, to the center. Well done. All right, just take a check, look down at your toes, make sure that your hips are off the mat. Hold it, again from our prone position, let's roll onto the right hand side. So we're going to lift the hips up off the mat. And then all we're going to do is just roll onto the left and roll onto the right. And roll onto the left and roll onto the right. Awesome. So let's again go to the straight arm plank. And from this position, let's raise the arms this time instead of the feet. So we're going to load onto the left side. Keep your glutes tight, obliques tight, and we'll raise the right arm in front of us and hold. And lower. Load the right side, raise the left arm in front of you. And lower. And shift your weight to the left, raise your right. And lower. And shift to the right, raise the left. And lower. Excellent. We're going to progress on that one as well. But what I'd like us to do now is to work back into the lower back, the glutes and the hammies. So let's take on that quadruped position. Right, from here, let's get down flat on the ground again, much like we did with the swimmer. But this time, let's raise both the legs and the arms together. You'll notice that if your heels are up, you're going to feel it a lot deeper into the glutes. That is a foot dorsiflexion as opposed to a foot plantarflexion. Back in our push-up position, arms straight. We're going to do a kind of a mountain climber movement. So we'll bring the feet together and we're going to bring the left knee upward and outward towards the left elbow. Breathe in, right knee does the same. Breathe in, left knee again. Awesome. Now that we've got the knee going on the outside, let's try the knee going through the inside, crossing the medial line. That would dissect our body in half. So we're going to bring the right knee across and we'll kick out on that right foot and return. And then the left knee across, kick out and return. Right, kick, back, left, kick, and back. Okay, shall we try the combination? Let's do it. So, starting on the right this time, we're going to introduce a little bit of rotation along the vertical axis of the spine. So, ideally, we have the hips off the floor with straight legs. If you need to regress the movement and make it easier, just lower your right knee to the mat. And then from here, on the low regression, you lower your hips down to the mat, breathing in, you exhale up, twist, breathe in, and then down. So what we're going to do is just a couple like this. Right, that should get you started. Now we take it to the next level. So from here, we lower the hips down to the mat, breathe in, exhale. Try to remember to look up at your hand and then bring it just up through on the inside of your right elbow in this case. 10 to 15 repetitions should be pretty good. Now, let's go into a seated position. And from here, let's do a seated or supine plank. So we're going to be working the posterior kinetic chain of muscles. So breathe in, lift your hips up, keep the glutes tight, and hold. You may find that working off the fist is a lot easier. I certainly do, especially when it comes to doing a lot of these movements. And in particular, if we're going to do, as I'm about to do right now, take it to the next level. So as we did when we were in the prone position, we elevated one leg at a time. Let's try the same here. Try to keep the hips up, and you can go for 10 to 20 repetitions there. Right, let's sit down. And let's move over to the rotating plank on the left-hand side. So we'll bend that left knee, we'll raise the right arm, we lift the hips up, exhale, breathe them up and down. Try to connect your breathing with your movements. It makes a huge difference. And in particular, remember that the diaphragm is part of the core musculature and it's involved in breathing as well. So if you incorporate and synchronize your breathing with the movements, it'll make a huge difference in terms of core musculature engagement. All right, so now let's straighten that left leg. And rest, roll onto your front. Right, we rested the back a little bit, so let's get back into the next of the prone movements. This time we're going to be dropping down onto the elbow, forearm, and then getting up. But let's try it from a regressed movement. So, and if necessary, you can drop your knees to the ground. Probably better to, as opposed to your hips up high, try to create a straight line from your knees through your hips to your shoulders. So in this instance, in the regressed instance, you're going to press the feet together. You could cross your ankles, or you can, better still, because this will get you to tighten the glutes, press your feet together like this. And then we'll load the right side. So we'll put our weight onto the left side initially, and then we'll put our right hand into the floor, and then we just straighten out like this. Try to watch that straight line. You may notice that my hips sagged a little bit, so I want to keep a straight line from the shoulders through the hips to the knees. So once I've loaded that right arm, I'm then going to drop down onto the left elbow, drop down onto the right, shift my weight to the right side as I place my left hand on the mat, and then loading the left arm, I'm going to straighten up, and then down, back onto the forearms. This time roll a little bit to the left, right hand loads, up onto the right, drop down, left hand loads, up onto the left, and down, and down. And we can do that in the next level up. So the same will apply. In this case, we're going to roll to the right, get the left hand on the ground, Load your left arm and straighten out on the left. You'll notice significantly greater challenge into the hip musculature. And then let's do exactly the same. So we're going to drop down onto the forearms, and this time we're going to load on the right, and we're going to straighten up, hold it, and then drop down. Good. Straighten up on the left, hold it on the left, drop down, straighten up on the right, hold it on the right, and then drop down. Right, let's go to another level. So from here, we're just going to simply straighten up, and then drop down and drop down. And then onto the right, straighten up, drop down on the left, straighten up, then to the right, drop down, and then to the right, straighten up, and then to the left, drop down, and rest. Awesome. So let's go again onto the side. We'll go back to the right hand side. And let's start at the lower level. We're going to abduct. That means lift away to the side the left leg. So let's first align the body, legs, torso, feet straight line with the hips, with the shoulders, and we'll kick that right leg back so that we're working off the right knee, not off the right foot. So let's first lift the hips up, let's raise the arm up, and then dorsiflex that left foot, which we've spoken of before. Breathe in. It is best to look up through your left hand, arm at your leg, abducting, and you could do 10 of these. Right, let's try the progressed version. So we're going to stack the feet, we're going to lift up hips, and again focusing into your right glute medius. Very importantly, keep the glutes tight, raise that left leg up and down. And rest. Excellent. All right, let's go back into prone position, and then let's try that on the other side. But before we do that, let's try to do opposite leg and arm. So we really need to focus deep in here. We'll look straight down, and we're going to lift that left leg and the right arm. And down. And the right leg and the left arm. And down. Left leg right. And you can do 10 of those. And then let's go to the left hand side, where we're going to do the low level abduction. So remember the shoulder stabilizing the arm. We're going to raise the right leg up and down. Keep the right arm up. Work off your left knee. Awesome, let's extend that left leg, working off the left foot. Keep those hips up high. And return back to quadruped position, where we'll have another rest. Just sag your spine a little bit. Relax a little bit in the shoulders as well before we move on.